Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give it another minute or so before we get started, so we know you're there and we'll be getting going in just a moment. Okay, well, let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Meet the Buyer event, which is part of the Hammersmith and Fulham Fit to Bid Business Support Programme. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Noshir Desai. I'm an advisor and the project manager with Branduin, and we're basically managing the programme on behalf of the council. You can see the agenda up on the screen. We've got a fortunate position where we've got some very key decision makers and key influencers from the council, and we've also got Chris from the private sector side. So we've got a lot of experience on the panel today. And they're all here for one reason and one reason only, and that's to help all of you as local businesses get a better understanding of what you need to do to win more large local contracts within the borough. So make the most of it, enjoy the event, ask all those questions that have been on the tip of your tongue and you wanted to sort of get hold of people but never could. In terms of housekeeping, briefly, keep yourselves on mute, keep yourselves off camera for now. We'll have time for some Q&A at the end. If you have any questions in the meantime, put them in the chat facility and we will address those at the end. Presenters, I'll be keeping an eye on the timekeeping. So basically, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to hand over to Nikki Burgess. Nikki's the head of business and enterprise at the council, and she's going to give us the big picture strategy and vision of what the council are up to. So thank you very much, Nikki, and over to you.
Good morning, everybody. I am going to present on business support and the economy in Hammersmith and Fulham. And can I have my first slide, please? Here we go. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So our industrial strategy sets out our ambition to make the council the best place in Europe to do business and to ensure that everybody benefits, not just the favoured few. We are supporting businesses in a number of ways through that document, encouraging enterprise. So one of our projects is helping businesses to win more contracts with developers and the council. We have low-level rents on our industrial estates and preferential rates for new startups. We have an affordable workspace strategy, which will ensure that 20% of all new office space will be affordable. We have a supply chain project, which works with construction businesses to help them win contracts with developers. In White City, we have our explosion of new business and innovative businesses and our partnership with Imperial. And we continue to work with our high streets and town centres so that they're thriving places to work, visit and live. And we offer a business support programme offering tailored support to businesses, including startup support. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to go, you can read off the screen yourself, but just a bit about the economy. Hammersmith and Fulham is the 6th most competitive economy in the country. We've got 12,400 registered businesses. 99.5% of those businesses are SMEs or MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprises. The economy contracted by 10% in 2020, but it's forecast that we will grow by 6.6% by 2022 this year. Footfall is still down on our high streets. And obviously at the moment, our businesses are struggling with the cost of doing businesses, the energy crisis, which hopefully we will hear on more from the government today on what package support is going to be on offer to help businesses. Next slide, please. So wholesale and retail makes up our largest employment sector, but it's set to be overtaken by science, technology, engineering, mathematics, medicine, media, and the creative arts. White City Innovation District, God say 1,200 million has been raised by incubator companies there, and on the screen you can see all the businesses that have been moving in to the White City area. We've got 6,000 new jobs created in growth industries like medicine and biotech, and 400 new jobs in the green economy, a rise of 350%. Next slide, please. In terms of our business support offer, we've got a one front door route to the council. We'll meet Michael shortly. He's our business support lead. We have a business desk telephone number and email, and we will respond to you within 48 hours. And you can come and talk to us or ask us about absolutely anything to do with your business, and we will best to support you. We work with local, sub-regional, pan-London and national services across the borough to ensure that businesses access funding and support and opportunities. We will work with you to maximise your capacity for growth, such as through this programme, through our construction supply chain programme. We can help you find commercial space. We offer a range of training and support, and we have one-to-one business advisors where you can meet them and they will support you through growth or challenges. We run quite a few networking events, and one particular event, Network in London, which has been hosted at Venturex. We would always get about 100 businesses coming to that, and it's a great way of meeting new businesses and making connections and breaking into new markets. You can find all the latest updates from our council on our webpage, which we will share afterwards. We will be, a new page is about to go up with advice and support around the cost of doing business. And we also have a Business Connects newsletter that goes out bi-monthly, and will keep you up to date with support and opportunities. Next slide, please. I prepared this for our July presentation, so it's slightly out of date now, but during COVID, we delivered 8.2 million in grant funding. We delivered a business support and recovery programme, 500 Federation of Small Business memberships. We did a range of digital training and support for businesses to help businesses pivot to sell online. Through our supply chain programme, 2.4 million in tenders has been won by local businesses. We dealt with 3,417 business desk inquiries, and we have a full high street support and recovery programme, including a grant fund. That grant fund's now finished. Thank you very much. I'm sure you might have some questions for me at the end from the panel.
Great. Okay. Thanks very much for that, Nikki. Much appreciated. Joanna, would you like to pick up the baton on behalf of the council and introduce yourself? And yeah, I can see you're about to share your presentation, so over to you.
Good morning, my name's Jo. Really pleased to welcome you here today. I just want to talk a little bit about how you can do business with us, what kind of things we're looking for and how we can help you to work with us. This is a little snapshot of all of the different kind of business sectors that we have in our borough, and we know many of you are represented today. So what do we buy? We buy three kinds of things. Firstly, we buy services to help our residents, and we're really looking for businesses that know something about these categories on the screen: health and well-being, early help, community support, community safety, residential care, a whole range of things that we deliver as a local authority. And we have in the order of 4,000 businesses working with us at the moment, supporting us across each of these areas in our investment in the borough. We're also wanting to buy things that help us to develop the place. Nikki has spoken about our plans for the economy, and the regeneration and improvement of the borough and its accommodation and space are fundamental to that vision. So these are the kinds of things we buy for place. Things around improving our infrastructure so that we're better able to reduce our carbon net emissions, and for us to improve how we respond to the climate change emergency. Everyday things around repairs, furniture, security, how we deal with waste, how we deal with our highways and transport. Again, a whole range of things that we invest in, and we're seeking to work with a range of providers on. And finally, a range of different services and goods which support how our council run. Here we're looking at IT and telephony, facilities management, travel, various kinds of specialist advisors, things around catering or debt management, maybe things to support activities and events. And this is what's of interest to us at the moment, things that we're going to be going to the market for imminently. We're looking at early help. We're looking at specialists in the care industry, those who can help with home care, those who can help with residential care. We're looking for food suppliers who can help our frail elders. We're looking for innovative approaches to digital technology. And we're looking for how we can improve what we do in the borough for our residents. We're looking for local small businesses who can join our supply chains in the works that we do, be that changing buildings or developing new ones, changing the nature of the environment. We're looking for a range of professional and technical advisors in the construction and broader aligned industries. And we're looking for innovative alternatives to everyday equipment, be that to help our climate change agenda, or be that to further residents' ability to connect and live their lives to the full. So how do you do business with us? Make sure you're on capital e-sourcing. If you're going to be working directly with us, make sure you're aligned with one of the other main providers in the borough if you're working through a supply chain. And today you'll hear more about how you can get involved in that if you're not already. Be fit to bid and take the opportunity of the business advice available to you. Look at how you can access our supply chain project, and think about whether you've got something to offer when we advertise our pre-market engagement events. When we're looking to go out to tender, we will often seek to draw people together and understand what they can offer and how we might address a challenge that's affecting our residents, and get your insight into how we could do that better. You could also join a framework or join one of a dynamic purchasing system, particularly if it's smaller scale and you have the skills available in the works arena. You could also bid as part of a consortia or other partnership. We're open to bids of this sort when we tender for services. What are we looking for? Organisations who know and care for our borough and our residents. We're looking for organisations fit to bid, who are well constituted and well rated, do a good job. You need your appropriate insurance policies and you need to be viable, but we want to support you to be viable. We recognise how hard it is in the present economic climate. For us, at the heart of what we do, we're looking to work with residents rather than do things to them. So whatever you might have to offer, you need to know that you can communicate and work with our residents to evolve and develop what it is you have to offer in a way that works for them. We are fundamentally championing social value and all of the additional benefits of you working locally. That might include local employment and having local residents on your pay bill. That might be how you tackle climate change and the policies you have for your local business. It's about fair wages. It's about ensuring we don't have modern slavery in our supply chains, a whole range of things that add value for you as a business working with us over and above the core thing we might be seeking to get from you. We take pride in our borough and we're looking for businesses that share these values. The technical bit. We as an organisation have the option to reserve some of our contracts to local businesses, and these are advertised through Capital East Sourcing and shared through the networks that Nikki described earlier. We have open tenders and restricted tenders, and they're all run through our e-procurement portal, Capital East Sourcing. We also seek work through some of the main frameworks, and there's an upcoming event, particularly for construction, which colleagues will speak about further if you're looking to benefit through businesses we put through our other frameworks and draw from other frameworks. So look out for information on that. If we're buying goods and services, we're looking for a minimum of 3 quotes for up to 50k. And if we are buying works, we're looking for a minimum of 4 quotes for up to 213k. Who should you speak to? If it's about construction, design and maintenance, see the contact details here and we'll share them afterwards too. For all other sectors, Michael's going to speak to you a bit later today, but here's his contact details too. Thank you, Noshi.
Great stuff. Thanks very much for that, Joanna. Useful information. As I say, store up any questions you have. I see there's a question in the chat at the moment about contact details for business support. You've got that on the screen. Michael's your primary point of contact initially, so he's going to be a busy boy. But of course, they've also got the help desk as well. And we'll give you those details later. Great stuff. Okay, so I'm going to hand over now to Paul. Paul, if you want to sort of get your presentation up on the screen and take it away.
Okay, thanks, Nashir. I'll just share my screen. Sorry, okay. Great, so hi everyone, my name's Paul Clark. So I'm going to be talking to you today about the Council's social value policy and how that affects our suppliers' obligations to use local businesses in their own supply chains. So an objective of the Council's industrial strategy is to work with our major suppliers to proactively include local businesses in its supply chains. So this means our major suppliers are using local suppliers. There's a particular focus on including small to medium enterprises and micro businesses in their supply chains. The lever the Council can use to share this objective with our own suppliers is called our social value policy. So the Council spends around £280 million per year commissioning services. Joanna's gone through some of those areas. And the social value policy ensures that at least 10% of the value of major contracts that we commission has additional social value in it. So the Council has predefined social value measures that it wants for the borough, and these fall under 4 themes. Some of these have been covered. So we want social value contributions to employment and skills, promoting local businesses, strengthening the community, and environment sustainability. And it's this second theme, promoting local businesses, strengthening the promoting local businesses, that includes the measure of including local SMEs in their supply chains. So each social value measure has a monetary value based on its return on social investment. That's the SROI column on the right there. When potential suppliers bid for a major contract, they must select defined measures totaling a value of at least 10% of the contract value. So bidders can select from any one or all of these themes. These defined measures that can promote local businesses include a commitment to using SMEs and micro businesses based in the borough in its supply chain. So, for example, at the top of this table, we've got measure NT18, which means if one of our suppliers selects it, for every £1 that they spend locally on their contract, they get a social return on investment of £2.25. This incentivizes them to actually use local businesses. NT19, right underneath, says that for every £1 spent on the contract through micro, small and medium enterprises in Hammersmith and Fulham, they also get £2.25 in return. This again is an incentive for them to use micro and SMEs in their supply chain, which are based in Hammersmith and Fulham. There are also additional measures such as NT16. They may wish to donate equipment or resources to businesses and voluntary community sector enterprises. And NT15, which is the provision of expert business advice to VCSEs and SMEs in the borough. Examples that we've been given so far is the contributions towards financial, legal, HR and health and safety advice, but there can be different areas. So if there's some ideas that your businesses may want some expert support and advice from our supply chain, then please let us know what kind of things that you might want. That's something that we might be able to help with. To give you an idea of the value of the major contracts that we let in 2021 and 2022 that have got social value measures included, we've got the construction, design and maintenance sector, which is our biggest one. We've got public health, which is £32.1 million of contracts. Ground maintenance is 19.4 million. Social care and supported living, which is 16.4 million. Administration, nearly 6.5 million. School meals, 5.8 million. Digital and telecoms, 5.3 million. Property management, 3.8 million. Highways and transport, which is over £1.5 million. And community consultancy, which is £300,000. So this is a similar slide to what you saw from Joe, but if you want to be included on a list of local suppliers for tenders by our major suppliers, if you're in the construction, design and maintenance sector, you can contact David McAlpine from MTW, who's working with the council to support local SMEs in that sector. And there's his contact details. For all other sectors, you can speak to Michael, and I believe he's coming up next to talk to you a bit more about that, but there's his contact details. If you are in the construction, design and maintenance sector as well, you can also speak to Michael, but he will probably put you on to David as well. And that's it from me, Nashir. So back to you. Let me stop sharing.
Great stuff, Paul. Thanks for that. Very, very useful information, particularly on the social value sort of side of things, which is something we've been emphasising as well in the advice sessions. So we're going to move over to Michael. Michael, as you can see and know, you are a key person as a part of this program, because you're our contact man for the businesses. So do spend some time. We've got a few minutes telling them a bit about what they need to do, how you can help, and over to you, Michael.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Michael. I'm the face of the council in terms of business support. In simple terms, I am your personal representative for the borough. My role is to make sure any questions you have are answered, any needs you have is looked after. So if you have any queries about premises, business rates, anything like that, feel free to pop me a line and I will answer you directly. If you want a discussion about, if you can do business with the council and you need signposts anywhere, and I can do that for you. It's essentially whatever you want, I'm here to help. And it's very simple. Just essentially just call me. I've had Joe and Paul talking about the construction. Yes, I can also signpost to David. We do have a an event coming up on 15th, a Meet the Buyer event, and I can put that in the chat for you as well. It's a face-to-face event, and yes, I know the 15th is the train strike, but hey, you know, I'm going to be there. So if you want to meet me face-to-face, please pop along. We have a dedicated web page where a lot of questions can be answered, so you can have a look at that. We'll be looking at training and everything else. We regularly send out alerts about one-to-one advice, business sessions, master classes. So if you want to join up on that list, once again, pop me a line and I will get you subscribed onto that service. And while I'm at it, we do have a Business Connect newsletter which goes out quite regularly. It's really, really good. I advise everybody to sign up the service if you haven't done that already. It's quite good, and you get alerted everything business related. Yes, feel free, call me. I look forward to all your emails. No questions too small or too big. Thanks. Back off from the share.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Michael. I know you're going to get even busier than you have been, but there is a genuine desire from the council to help. That's the feeling we are definitely getting as an organisation. Quite a lot of information downloaded there, hopefully useful stuff. But if you have any further queries, you've got their contact points, and there's lots of helpful things that we'll pick up on also in our presentation. So thank you everyone from the council for that. That's been very useful. I'm now going to bring in Chris Luckins. I hope that's the right pronunciation. Chris, apologies if it isn't. Chris is the founder and CEO of Venturex. They're probably one of the largest co-working spaces in London, over in White City, and Chris is in his company a key buyer of sort of SME services, so he's going to share some of his experiences and talk a little bit about supply chains. Chris, we're running a few minutes ahead of schedule, so take your time. Over to you, Chris.
Thanks, Nashir. I was about to reassure everyone that I wouldn't take too much time. I'm sure I won't still. I think I might be of more use during a Q&A session, so very happy to take questions later on the panel. But I think at this stage, perhaps it's just helpful for me as a participant in the local supply chain to just share some experiences. Certainly the world we find ourselves in at this minute is particularly interesting as a supplier and a buyer. So I guess just to step back and to start, as Noshir mentioned, I'm here on behalf of Venturex UK. So Venturex is a leading global provider of premium flexible workspaces. So it always pains me to say it, but people seem to understand quite quickly when I say we are similar to WeWork, and the model is similar, but as a business, obviously we structure our business differently. One aspect that is different, which is relevant to this conversation, is that it's a franchise business. So right now I'm dialing in from Venturex White City. We're located just above Westfield London. In fact, we're part of the Westfield London estate. And so one thing that's worth mentioning is that Michael had flagged next week, whilst the train strike is on, that there's an in-person event, Meet the Buyer event, which is actually, we're going to be hosting that here at Venturex White City. So along with Michael, I'd be very happy to meet any of you in person who are interested in joining us, and very happy to show you around our space as well. Now, just in terms of kind of trying to share the experiences that I've kind of had in the last, I guess, 3 to 6 or even 12 months, the role that Venturex plays is that we have approximately 50 member companies here, SMEs, which are all, we're kind of proud to have brought these SMEs to the Hammersmith and Fulham Borough, and we essentially represent their interests whenever we are going out to negotiate new contracts, and that includes anything from cleaning to facilities. Initially, a construction fit out project, which has small jobs from time to time as well, furniture, IT and tech and marketing, and really anything else that we can kind of provide as a service to our member companies. I think one of the unique aspects I mentioned earlier is that as a franchise business, when I approach these discussions, I come with a global brand behind me, but ultimately, as the owner operator of Venturex White City, I'm just another kind of local SME in the Hammersmith and Fulham Borough. So it is a fairly unique perspective, and part of that, I guess, is that we particularly look to engage in our local business district, and we've kind of worked in various occasions with the council, and we try to engage wherever we can. In terms of the business environment that we're operating in at the moment, I think it's easy at the moment to be fairly downbeat. There's lots of reasons we could point to as to why there are so many challenges in the business environment, and supply chain is a key kind of driver of that. So as a buyer of services in the borough, and also as a provider to our members, we are kind of just a participant in that supply chain. And both Joanna and Paul have touched on earlier various aspects of kind of factors that the buyers or suppliers might take into account. The obvious one is cost, and there are the challenges that we are all well aware of at the moment, are only adding to the need for or adding to the price sensitivity effectively of buyers. And it's undeniably a factor, and it always will be. But at this point in time, there are a whole host of other factors that buyers might be looking to kind of tap into, or at very least be aware of. So just to give a real world example, I guess, when we fit out a new workspace, it is a sizable construction project, and sustainability is a key aspect of that from our perspective. So what we will expect from the contractors who are bidding to win that contract is that they will have a clear understanding of their supply chains, the viability of the products that they're using, sustainability metrics as well. So the message on that front, I guess, is to understand all those aspects of your business. The bottom line is always going to be a relevant factor, but ultimately at the moment it's important to be aware of the other factors that are at play. So that's one thing to kind of mention. I guess another thing that I just felt might be worth flagging is the actual process that we go through in order to work with new contractors. It's perhaps, as a franchise business, not the standard route. We're not always as structured as perhaps the council may be, or larger corporates may be, and a lot of the challenges that we're experiencing in our supply chains at the moment are exacerbated by relationships and poor communication. And the flip side of that is that generally businesses are really understanding at the moment that there are challenges in the supply chain, and they can be overcome by good communication and strong relationships. So we are finding more and more that we are gravitating towards our partners who work closely with us, explain to us if they're having challenges, what those challenges are, what that means in terms of time and cost, and equally we're drifting further from suppliers who are not handling that situation well, and are kind of not communicating clearly, and then coming to us perhaps with cost increases later on down the line, which haven't been shared with us earlier. So it's really, I think, a unique aspect of the situation that we find ourselves in at this particular moment, is that there are a whole host of challenges going on wherever you sit in the supply chain, and it's really important to be open and transparent and to manage those as well. So I think on that note, so we being less structured, I guess, than perhaps some other larger corporates and being perhaps more relationship focused in the partnerships that we like to build. One piece of feedback that I'll give is that it's always important to be out there looking to build connections outside of a formal bidding process. Perhaps we at Venturex, we make an effort to connect locally, as I mentioned, and that might be events such as this one managed by the council. Nikki mentioned we've hosted Networking London events in the past, Chamber of Commerce events, whatever it might be, to get out there and kind of make introductions and build relationships outside of formal bidding processes, which just might allow you the opportunity to show what else you might bring to the table other than a formal bid. So they're just a few snippets that I thought might be helpful, and very happy to kind of dig into any of those or any other questions you might have during the Q&A. Thanks, Noshir.
Great stuff. Thanks so much for that, Chris. A lot of what I would call, and I do myself, so some very practical tips and information there. Things about having open communications, having an open dialogue, being open about the challenges you face. Certainly, some of the feedback we've had when we've been talking to SMEs as part of our one-to-one support program is that they can't and don't feel able to talk to people at the council. But you've seen there are people at the council here all willing to talk and build relationships. And I can't underplay the importance of building relationships outside of the formal bidding process, which Chris mentioned. So some of this is not rocket science, but don't be frightened to build relationships with the council, because they generally have a desire to do that with local businesses to improve the local supply chain. So fantastic, Chris. Thank you so much for that. We'll definitely make the most of you in the Q&A session as well. Right, okay, so I'm just going to bring up a screen, and basically what we're going to do now for a few minutes is I've got Nauza Manekshaw with me here. He is the Managing Director of Branduin, and we're running the programme on behalf of the council, as I said earlier. And Nauza's going to spend a couple of minutes just telling you a little bit about us, then pass over to me, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about the programme and how we can help and support you to win those larger contracts. So I'll just get that on full screen, and over to you, Nauza.
Thank you, Noshir. Thank you all for presenting earlier, and thank you all for attending today. Okay, so this is just a brief overview on who we are and what we do. We've got a number of key programs. Our flagship one is Fit to Bid, and Goal Mapper, we call it a startup and for innovation. Sales Mapper is for scale up. Fit to Export is so Fit to Bid is for community wealth building, and Fit to Export is a new program. We hope to take advantage of FTAs in the future, and that's for national wealth building. And then we've got a very special one, which is Women in Business, which is an 8-week program with 10 to 12 in a cohort, very successful across, West London, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that as well.
You're on mute now, so just unmute yourself.
Next slide, please, Noshir. Okay, thank you for that. The agenda for the rest of the afternoon, we have 15-20 minutes today with us. A brief introduction, a brief overview, and then Noshir, as he said, will take you through the program, talk to you about the methodology, what's in it for you, how do you get onboarded, and how we can work with you on one-to-ones to help you to achieve your objectives. Please, next slide, please, Noshir. Thank you. Okay, a tiny bit about me. There's a lot of me on the screen, but I've been involved with Branduin since inception, and I have a few sort of passionate beliefs that the Fit to Bid program is a capacity building program first, which helps you to get fit to bid and work with organizations to help you win more locally in a business. The other thing I'm very sort of passionate about is creating partnerships and collaborations. And I had a saying which said, which still holds true, not necessarily in the pandemic now, because we're hopefully over that, but in the current economic situation. Partner yourself out of the pandemic, or in this case, partner yourself out of a recession. Partnerships and collaborations are key to our business model, and it's the way we work. So over to you, Noshir. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks. Okay, just literally a few seconds about me. Somehow I seem to have managed to get through 40 years of business, finance and banking. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but clearly it has. So a banker, my standard joke, one of the good guys, 30 years. On a serious note, dealing with businesses right from startup through to international corporates. And I also spent, as it says, 4 years managing the government team for Lloyds, which basically involved our relationships with local authorities and central government departments, and a lot of tendering responses as well. So that's where my tendering experience comes from. I've worked on a number of these programs for Branduin. I'm project managing, obviously, the Hammersmith Fulham Fit to Bid program, and worked on a couple of others with 2 other councils in the London area. I do a bit of business advisory work as well myself, and I've got a little social care business, which is also good for my heart, right, as opposed to keeping my intellectual challenge going with programs like this. So back to you, Nauza, for a moment.
Thank you. So in short, we consult with local government authorities, with growth hubs, entrepreneur hubs at a few universities and chambers, and we consult with them to understand their strategic requirements, and we deliver them to startups, early stage SMEs, growing and established, including micro businesses as well. We do that through our members who are business advisors or specialist associates. We call on people. I can see a few in the attendees list that we work with very closely. These are specialists who either, whether we don't have the capacity ourselves or the program requires the additional support. We do that in most cases in partnership again with chambers, and we deliver the programs that I described earlier. And it's taken us and me and my team 12 years to build this one slide. It's hard work, but that's where we suggest that SMEs have a better chance of surviving and potentially also thriving. It's taken us 12 years because it takes time to build relationships. It takes time to develop key contacts. And as Chris rightly pointed out, the more work you do outside of the tender process or a proposal sort of a process, the more likely you are to win something when that basically comes around. This is a growing list. At any given time, we do work with one or more of these. And there is, in fact, an entire webinar, which we're going to be holding in, we're going to be delivering in December, which is based around the circular economy and developing key partnerships. But don't miss it. You will learn a lot from it, and we will help you to get there as well. So over to you, Noshir. Many thanks.
Good stuff. Thanks very much for that, Nauza. Much appreciated. Okay, I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking about the programme and, most importantly, how we can help you as local businesses. You've heard a lot about social value, and just to give a little bit of context of why we have this sort of programme is a term that you may have come across called community wealth building. It's about, quite simply, empowering local people, local businesses within the community to allow them, I guess, to benefit from improvements and strengths. So, it's not a case of the larger corporates and the larger organizations getting all the benefits and the value. It's empowering local people. It's getting local supply chains improved. The term, again, you may or may not have heard of, is called progressive procurement. And essentially what that is, it's a way of buying goods and services from the council, including Hammersmith and Fulham, which thinks and considers factors other than just price. Clearly, price is always going to be a point, but they take a wider view when they're assessing which suppliers locally to work with, and build in those sort of factors when they're evaluating tender responses and requests to do business. So the social value impact, the social value angle cannot be underplayed. So it could, I think Paul gave a few examples. It could be helping young people within the area. It could be sort of providing training opportunities. There are a number of different ways where I think small businesses can and should try to demonstrate how they will help build improvements, make improvements, benefit the local borough of Hammersmith and Fulham. So do give that some serious thought when you're talking about bidding with the Council for Business. The Fit to Bid programme, as Nauza said, it's a supplier development programme. The whole idea behind that is it's to help build capacity and help you as local businesses get a greater share of that local business. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a few moments. So the programme itself, it's very structured. We have a session where we go through how you engage with procurement departments. Most of you, some of you will know, of course, that the council will have separate procurement departments to the end business unit. You heard from Joanna earlier, and we'll show you how you can actually build and develop relationships with all stakeholders within the council. We have an online bid capability assessment questionnaire. It just takes about 5 minutes to complete. And what it'll do is it'll allow us to look at your state of preparedness to bid and tender. Will, of course, help you improve your bidding skills I'll talk more about that in a moment, through webinars, through the one-to-one support. And the bidding and tendering process is very much a sales process. So please, I say this to everyone I'm talking to when we're talking about tendering, don't treat it as an administrative exercise. If you do that, you're probably on the way to failure. Bit of a strong word, but it's true. You know, it is a sales exercise. It's how you can add value to the council. And we also offer you specific tender and bidding advice through the one-to-one sessions. There are 2 one-to-one sessions available to all local businesses in Hammersmith and Fulham. And of course, we run Meet the Buyer events like this. This first one's online, but we will be doing one also in the new year, which will be face-to-face, train strikes and pandemics permitting. So let me just talk a little about bidding skills. As it says at the head of the slide, it's about giving yourself an edge. And when I say giving yourself an edge, I mean giving yourself an edge about over your competition. And so everything we'll talk about within the webinars, within the one-to-ones, it's all based around the principles of best practice in selling, based on actual examples that we've seen. So you'll see on the left of the slide, there are 4 specialist workshops that I will be running, webinars, and essentially they're all around the bidding and tendering process. There's an introductory one, it talks about things like constructing your actual proposal. It talks about some of the administrative things that are involved. It talks about writing styles, evidence. I won't go into too much detail now. And then there's a second follow-up one, which is a more advanced one. Public sector contracts and bidding is sometimes seen as something as a mystery. I say that because I was involved with it for a number of years, but it's not a mystery actually. If you just understand what the processes and procedures are, then you can certainly bid and win public sector contracts. Because they are a little bit different, we do run also a specialist webinar on bidding specifically for public sector contracts. In the blue box on the right, you can see the sort of things that we'll cover, and they're all designed to help you as local businesses produce a stronger bid. So we'll talk about putting yourself in the minds of the customer, of the client. We'll talk about what I call the golden rules for successful bidding and give you some tips and advantages to help you, as I say, get a competitive edge over your competition. How you analyze questions might sound obvious, but actually one question can often have 3 to 4 key parts, and it's important that you cover all those points. Things like providing evidence to back up what you're saying. How do you actually show the council what you're saying is true? And finally, things like writing an effective executive summary. And with any tender, less is often more. I often see businesses thinking, the more I write, the better. And then we'll give them everything that they want to know and all the stuff that actually they don't want to know. There is a skill in writing clearly and succinctly and providing just the right information. So we'll show you how to do that as well. So that, you know, they are very helpful webinars if you seriously want to get involved with bidding and tendering and win business from the council and the private sector organisations in the borough. So do get yourselves on those, and I'll give you the links in a moment. We'll talk about how you engage with procurement. Again, there's a slight myth that obviously, you know, in councils and even in some private sector organisations, that you can't speak to procurement departments, but we'll help you understand what the procurement process is, how they evaluate bids and tenders. We'll talk about things like their selection criteria, what things they measure when they're actually assessing bid responses, what sort of local challenges they face and how you can actually impact on that. The big one that virtually everyone has mentioned today in their presentations, the social value angle. Can't underplay how important that is for all SMEs to have some form of social value policy or strategy. And it doesn't have to be a 20-page, you know, complex document, but you need to be able to demonstrate how you will benefit the local community, how you'll benefit the local borough. And of course, we have the issue of the environment, climate change and sustainability, massive issue. We've all gone through some very strange weather conditions lately, to put it mildly. So anything you can do as businesses to demonstrate how you're helping with that will also give you an advantage over others that don't. And then most importantly, we'll give you details of where you can access tender opportunities and what portals are registered for. You've seen a little bit about that at the moment. So the practical information as well as the technical stuff about how to complete your bid responses. Like I've said earlier, it's a sales process, and we will take, as part of the program, a wider look at your business and its model. So yes, of course, we'll focus on the bidding and tendering angle, but we'll also look at your business model and make sure that it's fit for purpose, if you like, and it meets the demands of what you're trying to do. It's based on a concept called the business model canvas, and we'll look at things like desirability. How desirable are you to your clients? Do they actually want your products? Otherwise, you're going to have no sales. How feasible is your offer? Is it viable? Is it adaptable? Is it financially going to work? Do you have a model that fits in to what the council or the organisation you're bidding for wants? You need to adapt your business. And as you can see below, there are a number of webinars we run for that wider analysis of your business as well. I'll talk about those in a minute. In particular, as Nowza mentioned, developing key partnerships. And that's something where, you know, you might want to consider a consortium bid. You might want to consider joining forces with another local SME. So lots of wider support beyond just the bidding and tendering process, but it'll all help you in terms of creating stronger, more successful bids and hopefully win those larger contracts. I did mention earlier that the public sector and private sector tender bids are a little bit different. So just a few sort of to highlight. I guess in terms of the councils, they typically will have an annual budget allocated, which they need to spend, whereas private sector organisations very much driven by business requirements. Council tenders are quite understandably heavily regulated by legislation, whereas in the private sector, you know, it's slightly lower restricted. And the council businesses, the council business tenders will have a very specified process, a very structured process. Simple things like if they say you need to get your sort of, you know, expression of interest in by the 1st of October at 12 noon, don't send it at 12:05. It will be rejected. So, you know, there are very, very detailed specific processes, and I cover those in the public sector tender. They're not complicated, you just need to follow them. There'll be quite structured set time periods with council tenders. And again, they'll all be clearly laid out in the instructions that you receive when you're receiving an invite to tender. Whereas with the private sector, it's typically much more flexible. Council, they're typically driven, understandably, to spend their money wisely. It's our money, it's public sector money, and fairly, whereas private sector organisations much more driven by shareholder return on investment, and that type of thing. Local authorities can be quite complex organisations to negotiate, and there'll be a number of different stakeholders, which is why it's so great that Hammersmith Fulham have appointed Michael. Great for you, perhaps more of a challenge for him, to almost negotiate those stakeholders on your behalf. So at least, you know, you can signpost you. So typically you'll be dealing with more stakeholders. You may be talking to the procurement department, the business unit, some of the end users. So it can be more complex with the public sector. Whereas with the private sector organisations, you may just be dealing with one or two individuals who are managing the tender process. And just in summary, you know, the council looking quite understandably to reduce spend, increase savings, whereas again, the private sector companies are driven much more by increasing profits. So some subtle differences between the public sector and private sector bids, but similar principles. These are some of the key issues which some of you may recognise, because they've all come out of the one-to-one sessions that me and my team have had with local businesses like yourself. So these are the things that businesses are telling us are preventing them, worrying them, giving them thought, concerns when they talk about trying to bid and win contracts in the public sector. They don't really have the experience. You know, all the big boys are dominating the market. We can't get in. You know, my company's quite small. I'm unknown. You can never get hold of the right people. Well, you know, you can see that there are ways that can be done. We don't have enough testimonials. We don't have case studies. I haven't got enough time. You know, it's just, I'm so busy. I can't plan properly. I'm not sure quite how the tendering process works. You know, how do I write the right things to give me a good chance of winning? What do I put in it to basically help me win tenders? So these are the key sort of things that are coming out from companies and SMEs locally we're talking to, and we can help you overcome all those issues with a bit of help and support. So don't be scared is what I'm saying. There's always a way. Just a little bit about consortium bidding, which now's touched upon. It's quite simply where two or more organise. You may be a business and think, well, there's a bit of business that's come out from either the council or private sector organisation, and we could do 50% of it, we could do 75% of it, but we couldn't do that part. So consequently, you think, well, you know, perhaps if I partner up, if I find a partner, join forces with another local company, then, you know, we can put together a stronger consortium winning bid. Absolutely a sensible approach to take. And there are certain ways that you need to construct that. The council, they will only contract with one legal entity, so you need to think about how you're going to structure the consortium. There are various different legal ways of doing that. And you need to think about things like, you know, the legal arrangements, decision making, who's going to manage the process, you know, how do consortium members exit the arrangements. There's a bit to think about, but, you know, there's certainly a sensible approach to take. But if you are putting together a consortium bid, then your bid response has to read as one cohesive document. It has to be written or read as if one person's written it, not disjointed with different bits from different members, because that really won't create the right impression. So again, be clear on how that is done. And to help you with that, sometimes some companies will get an external bid specialist in to write it, so at least it's written in the right style, in the right format, and obviously by one person. So consortium bidding is something we talk about also more in our webinars. So if you're thinking of perhaps joining forces, then we can help you to do something along those lines as well. I've touched on the one-to-one sessions. The programme provides 2 one-hour fully funded sessions for all SMEs based in Hammersmith and Fulham. So take advantage of them. They're very structured sessions in so much as everything is documented. You can see down the list the sort of things that we can cover. The first session is very much an analysis of you and your business and its challenges, primarily focused around the bidding and tendering, but also covering some wider issues, you know, things that all businesses struggle with, like sales, marketing, and all those good things. And the way they typically work will document back to you the actions that have been agreed, because it's not a bit of a chat. It's a structured business advice session with clearly agreed actions and tasks that, you know, you as a business owner need to go away and think about and work on over the course of the time between the first and second session, which is typically, I suppose, 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. So do take advantage of those sessions. We're getting great feedback. We've probably done about 70 so far as part of the programme. The programme's been running, some of you may know, since February this year, runs on until February next year. So we're entering the sort of second half of the programme. We've got capacity. We've got, thanks to the council, funding to do a lot more of these sessions with local companies. So if anything you've heard today struck a chord and you think, I could do with some help with that around the bidding and tendering process, then talk to me and I'll show you where to get hold of me. Programme benefits. It's a great programme. I would say that, but it is a great programme. And this just gives you an idea of some of the things that you'll get from the programme. As I said, we'll assess your bidding skills. We'll show you how to improve them. We'll share with you best practice. We'll give you those 2 one-to-one advice sessions. We'll help you with getting to a point where you can submit an expression of interest. If you don't know what that is, it's quite simply notification to the council that you are interested in bidding for a particular type of business. But it's a formal part of the bidding process. We'll give you that support about, you know, writing winning bids. Broadly, more widely, we'll look at your sort of business model. We'll look at your value proposition. Why would the council want to buy your services? Why would that company want to buy your services? And it's not a case of we have a one-to-one, you never hear from us again until the next session. We're there to support you throughout the programme, throughout the interim. So, you know, there's a lot of dialogue and feedback back and forwards, and we're there to help. So there are a lot of benefits for you, and all you need to do is commit your time. So if you're not on the programme, how do you do it? Well, quite simply, get in touch with me, and there are my details up on the screen. Booking a one-to-one advice session. As I said, the only criteria is that you need to be in the borough. We'll help you, as I said, submit expressions of interest, whether that be to the local authority, the council, or whether it be to the larger private sector organisations within the borough. And hopefully that will set you on your way to submitting a winning bid. And just to summarise, these are some of the webinars we're running in the second half of the of the programme. And like I said, there are a couple of specialist tender bid writing sessions that I do myself. We've got colleagues of mine that are doing and running webinars on developing and designing products for procurement. We've got a LinkedIn specialist who'll help you with your marketing to tier 1, tier 2 suppliers. She'll give you tips and techniques as to how to get the most out of it. We've got that specialist public sector bidding and tendering webinar. And also something now, as I touched on again earlier, the circular economy and developing key partnerships. With circular economy, it's all about these global challenges that we're all facing, whether it be climate change, waste, pollution, sustainability, recycling. Very important going forward for everyone, for businesses and individuals alike. So you would learn a lot, as Nels earlier said, from that programme. And like I said, also, we're going to be running a face-to-face Meet the Buyer session in the new year as well. So that's a quick and dirty summary of what we're up to and how we can help you. Hope it's been useful and interesting. So to finish off now, I'm going to essentially open up the chat. Well, it has been open, so feel free to put anything in the chat to ask either members of the council, myself, or Chris, because you've got a lot of people here who want to help you. So do take advantage of that. I'm going to have a quick look in the Q&A and chat. So don't be shy, because you have got some very senior and influential decision makers here from the council. So please do put something in the chat, and we've got half an hour for this basically. So don't be shy. Get your questions in there. I've got a few things that have already been responded to at the moment as to who to get in touch with. I think you've had Michael's details. That's great. Go ahead and make the most of our time, because we've got the time here specifically allocated for you as local businesses. So don't be shy. Put it in the chat. We're ready to take your questions. While people are having a think about that, because clearly they are, because nothing's coming through yet. Does anyone else on the panel want to add anything, given what we've heard from the various presenters, or any other tips or suggestions that they can help and suggest, perhaps more so from the council, to help those local businesses? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself. There's one technical question coming in, not too technical. It's probably for you, Michael, which is, how do I register for the face-to-face Meet the Buyer event next week? So I'm assuming that's one that you'll be able to cover off, Michael, and perhaps put something in the chat or send something around after. Is that okay?
Yes, it's already in the chat.
It's in the chat already. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. All right, great stuff. Got another question from Sharon. It says, what is the council doing for clean, filtered air indoors, both in terms of the new build offices and also recommendations for schools? We'd love to provide, forgive me, something's popped up, provide air purification services. So who wants to take that from the council? And you can turn on your camera.
Hi, I think I'm going to have to come back on that one unless anyone else can answer. I'm going to have to come back.
Okay, it was a question all around air purification services, particularly in schools. So maybe you can do that, Sharon. And Nikki, that would be great.
Noshir, while we're waiting for some people to raise some more questions, I always think that if you just Google the Public Contract Regulations 2015, it's not a long document. It's about it's got about 70 pages, but the main pages there are the rules of the road. It's the highway code. And I would recommend anyone who's wanting to bid, and I've been on both sides, I'm the procurement lead working to Joanna, but I would recommend that is the way to understand it. That's the Hayes Handbook, to understand how frameworks work, how awards work, how evaluation works. And it is an alien language until you've started to understand it. But by just Googling Public Contract Regulations, it'll come up with the .gov. We work to exactly the same, or everybody's working, every council and authority and government department. And I do think an hour's reading of just scanning through what the rules of the road are will really demystify it for people. I think it's a really easy self-help thing, just like the highway code is. And I would recommend that people do it, because that will greatly help them write their bids and hit the target about, because we have to adhere to those rules. They're mandatory. Yep. And I think it's a really useful thing that would, I think, put probably 10 or 15% onto most bid writers' scores.
That's fantastic. No, appreciate that, David. As I say, this session is being recorded, but maybe, David, you can just put the title of that in the chat for people. If someone hasn't done that already, that would be excellent. So people can have a look at that at their leisure. Now, it looks like we've got a few more questions coming through. So I've got one here, which basically said, we'd love to provide cleaning services for the council, but we're not based in, our office is based in Holborn Viaduct. We do employ people all over London. We work in all boroughs. Is it possible to work with Hammersmith and Fulham Council?
I can pick that one up, Noshi.
Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely, we will accept bids and interest from companies that work within Hammersmith and Fulham and companies that work locally to Hammersmith and Fulham and are able to offer employment and support the needs that we have as an authority. I'm aware that the upcoming tender in relation to work on cleaning, I think, is close to Christmas. That's my understanding. Information's coming through about that stage, and then post Christmas into the process for one part of the council. There may be others that come on stream, and we'll put those into the forward plan when we publish it. But at the moment, that's the one I'm aware of that will be coming through.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot for that, Nikki. We've also got a question for us from Brandon, which I think Nels is answering, and just saying, do you run similar programs for other boroughs? The quick and simple answer to that is yes, we do. If Nels' answer doesn't clarify, then contact either Nels or myself after, and we're happy to obviously have a conversation. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Because I basically had something saying my internet connection is stable. Nels, can you hear me okay or not? Good. Okay, fantastic. Question from another company saying, any advice you can give to a startup domiciliary care business? I'll take that just for now, but the council can come in as well. Yes is the simple answer. And we've run programs particularly for adult social care organisations, domiciliary care agencies. If you're in the borough, just get yourself signed up on the programme if you're not already so, and we'll be happy to have a chat with you on that. Anyone on the council want to add anything to that? Was that sufficient? Yeah, I
just wanted to encourage.
So feel free to unmute and say something.
Am I coming through okay? Yeah, I just wanted to encourage you, if you are a dom care business, we are in the process of looking at how we tender for home care. And so that's another one in the pipeline, and we do a lot of work spot purchasing from local dom care providers in addition to our main contracts. So definitely welcome interest from businesses who offer that service, and as Noshi said, they're well placed to advise you on how to make sure you're appropriately accredited and able to bid successfully for that kind of work. It's a really important area of service for the authority.
Great stuff. That's good. One other question, just technical one, perhaps now. Will the webinar information be shared? Well, this session's definitely been recorded. I'm not sure if we're planning to share the slides. I don't know if that's the case. Anything you can?
Yes, there is a YouTube channel where Lisa will kindly upload it by tomorrow. So we will share the link with everybody. So all the sessions, Hammersmith and Fulham sessions over the past 6 months have been put together on a playlist. They've been grouped together. They're on the Chamber YouTube channel and easily accessible for everybody.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Nauza. I'm just looking through the chat. There was a question from Yolanda, but for the life of me, I can't get it up on my screen. Nauza, can you happen to see Yolanda from Hayton Posse's question in the chat? Because I'm struggling to spot it, but I saw it pop up and now I can't get it.
I have a feeling it's been answered. I can't see Yolanda. No, I can't see any question from Yolanda. No.
I'm going to keep trying, Yolanda. If not, just unmute yourself and ask the question. So I know you had. Yolanda, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't see your question in the chat. There seemed to be one.
Noshir, your network bandwidth is very low, so
Okay.
It's on the screen, so you're going in and out, but that's okay. Do we have any more questions? Anything you want to add, please, Joanna?
Can I just say a couple of things? Do sign up to our newsletter. It's in the chat somewhere. Michael's already mentioned it. And just to reiterate, we do have professional business advisors that you can have a free one-to-one session with, you know, about anything to do with your business, about growth, about dealing with debt, about, you know, starting up a business. So do contact Michael about that service if you're interested. We've got a brilliant advisor who helps businesses around social media marketing, if that's not something you're doing that you need to do. And also we have got a London Business Network meeting on the 22nd of September, which will take place in Hammersmith Road, Shortlands. Michael, can you put that in the chat, please? And it's, you know, the people that come are really proactive, and it's a great way to make new contacts. Highly recommend it. If you're Hammersmith and Fulham business and you're going for the first time, it's free. We pay for you to attend.
That's great. Thanks, Nikki. Yolanda, I found the question that you had. I think Nikki's basically suggested you get in touch with her. It was all about how do you make the borough greener, help you hit your net zero carbon target. So that, Nikki, you're going to signpost on that one. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Lovely. Thank you very much for that. That's excellent. I think I've spotted one more from Abdi, who says, what if I want to save money for the council so that it can provide more services to the local community? Who can I talk to? I think I can probably answer that. And it's probably Michael in the first instance, but feel free to add anything if anyone from the council wants to.
I've responded as well, and me or Michael if they make contact with us.
Fantastic. That's excellent.
And there's one there from Veronica about, hi, does anyone have any advice on becoming a weak supplier for the NHS? Again, I would contact Michael, and perhaps if you're an H&F business or resident, you can have a chat with one of our advisors and see if they can assist.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for that, Nikki. I think that's all the questions that I can certainly see in the chat, which we've just about answered. Does anyone have anything more? We've still got a few minutes, so if you've got any questions, as Michael said earlier, no question too small, and do feel free to ask and take advantage of the people we've got on the panel.
I'm just going to say another thing as well. We also have a borough business network that meets monthly, and it includes representative businesses from across the borough, from high streets and town centres to accountants and venue operators, the Chamber of Commerce and the Federation of Small Businesses. And if anyone's interested in joining those meetings, it's a good way of engaging with us and also influencing the support that we offer. During the lockdowns, we met on a weekly basis, but if anyone's interested in coming along to one of those, if you email me, Nikki, NICKI.Burgess, BURGESS @lbhf.gov.uk, and I'll put that in the chat.
Great stuff. Thanks for that, Nikki. I'm going to keep it open just for a few more minutes if anyone's got any final questions that they want to ask, but failing that, if anyone else on the panel wants to add anything, I think the session's been useful. There's been a lot of information shared. As Nowza said, the slides will be put up on our YouTube channel with the with a recording of the session as well. So if you want to sort of refresh your memory of the things we've covered and look up the the contact points and the rest of that, then that'll all be available within the next 24 hours or so. Oh, I think there's one more question appeared. Let me just see if I can see that. It's a question from a bike company. It says, we offer bike rides in the borough, but to include some excluded groups, we'd require accessible storage. Who can best help with that?
Yeah, if they contact me directly, I can set that up. That's fine. I can do that.
That's great, Michael. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, there's another one coming through. Let's see.
Michael, can I suggest, if you haven't done so already, can you put your email address in the chat, please, for everybody?
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Thank you.
Can you put mine in, Michael? Because for some reason I can only send it to you. Unless it's in there.
There's another comment from Abdi. I think I know the answer, Michael. It basically says, I provide training for leaders so that they can become more effective and have more time. Who can I approach? I'm going to take a flyer on that. Unless you tell me otherwise, Michael, it's probably going to be Michael.
Yeah, send it on to me as well.
And
Thanks for that.
Abdi as well, contact Michael. It may be that you can run a masterclass or something for us, so have a chat with Michael.
Fantastic. That's great. I think you can see, I'm talking now to the businesses, that the council are very accessible. They want to engage, they want to do business, they want to help you. So don't be shy in creating those relationships that Chris and I both talked about, because they're all busy and everyone's busy. It might take a little bit of time for them to revert, but there's a genuine desire from the council to build local relationships and improve local supply chains. So make sure you do start having those contacts and build those relationships with the council. Just checking if there's any more questions. But in the meantime, if anyone's got any more, just a little bit of feedback saying the session was very helpful. Thank you very much for that, Cindy. Oh, there's another one coming in from Melanie. It says, we provide mental health counselling, psychotherapy, and overall wellness. We offer culture, competent, sensitive support, especially with people from BAME backgrounds. Do I contact Michael?
Yeah, you do, but really interested to hear what you have to offer. Both children's and adults departments are within their pipeline of work, buy services of this sort, and as those contracts come up, there would definitely be an area that they have interest in. So there's a clear match to what we do and what we buy already and what you're offering.
Fantastic, Joe. Thanks so much for that.
Can I also let people know that we've got some social media groups that you might want to join for B2B business communications? We've got a Facebook group and a LinkedIn group. I'll put them in a chat, or make sure that Noshir and Nauza share them afterwards.
Great, thanks for that, Nikki. Chris, did you want to add anything? From your perspective, you've been very quiet in the background, but you're welcome to chip in.
Yeah, no, nothing more from me. Just that I'll be at the event next Thursday. So if anyone would like to follow up, please come along.
Okay, great stuff, Chris. Okay, I'll just give it another couple of moments or so. Does anyone have any final questions? Otherwise, I'll wrap things up. Give you back 9 minutes of your day. Okay, oh, there's one more coming. Thank you for that. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, just a bit of feedback saying thanks for the session. So appreciate that, Raman. Thank you very much.
There's one here about starting up a I can't say it,
Domiciliary care
agency. If you contact Michael, we'll put you in touch with one of our advisors and set up an appointment with you.
Fantastic. Thanks for that, Nikki. And I think, as I said, also, if you're not on the program, get on the program, and we can offer you advice about the bidding and tendering and how to position yourself best. But yeah, definitely speak to the people from the council as well. Yep, just a little bit of feedback saying good session. Thank you very much from Cecilia. Thank you for that. Right, last call for any further questions for a minute, and then if no more, I'll wrap things up.
Thank you to everyone who's taken the time to attend today. I know it's very busy. I'm sure we'll all be jumping off and looking at the news.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, on that note, thank you very much, first of all, to all the panelists for attending. It's been as people have said from the businesses, a very useful, informative session. Lots of good stuff to take away and work on for the businesses. Thank you, obviously, to the local businesses for taking the time out, as what Nikki said, is, I'm sure, very busy days. And yeah, get yourself registered on the program. If you're not, get yourself signed up for the webinars, and we'll look forward to seeing you on any one of the various next few events that we're running. Have a great day, everyone, and thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.